If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my
I follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It
tear
is my
this country
time
apart.
to address
There should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not
Senator,
take
it is
responsibility
my time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making
time
a
is
mockery of this
over.
committee.
I asked you whether you had any knowledge or discussions about removing FBI officials and installing political personnel before you were confirmed to that position. And I wonder, did you then understand or have conversations with the White House about the intentions to do so?
Before I was confirmed,
Yes, sir.
did I have discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were
And I'm
confirmed.
assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. I'd like to revisit another subject from that hearing. Did you testify, excuse me, you did testify before the grand jury that President Trump had declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Is that correct?
I don't have the grand jury transcript. That's why I released it. Whatever it says is the best evidence.
You know, that's what you said to Senator Whitehouse, that your grand jury testimony was publicly released. It has not been. In fact, in July, a court denied a news outlet's bid to get that transcript. But the court said quite clearly that you are free to discuss your grand jury testimony. So I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator,
So
that the Department of Justice
You and I both
released.
understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and that is
there is
why.
no premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you
Did
know
you
what,
or
how,
did you?
how do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. Patel, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a
So let
simple
me move on.
question. If you have
Mr.
a
Patel,
transcript,
during
you can
your
read the question,
nomination,
but you don't have it.
You promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees based solely on the cases that they are investigating, their case assignments, is illegal, and you know that. A new lawsuit that's been discussed numerous times, filed by 3 FBI officials, alleges that you carried out Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in quotes, against FBI employees for, quote, failure to demonstrate sufficient political loyalty. One of those plaintiffs has been discussed today, Brian Driscoll. Now, we know 20 years of distinguished service to the FBI before you terminated him. Special agent in charge of FBI's Newark field office, where he operated with distinction. Medal of Valor winner, Shield of Bravery awards. He's a patriot. You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025, and in that letter you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States, and so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay, well, discuss this. did you have discussions with Stephen Miller about firing this particular person or about his continuance in the FBI?
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security task force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Understood. Okay. Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely
Have there been
false.
any FBI agents who investigate
no.
foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America
that.
is
You're
safer because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and
you are not
23,000 violent
denying
felons have
that
been
FBI
arrested.
agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Correction Squad reassigned. People who defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen you time and time again attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. Mr. Patel, in just 8 months, you have assaulted the institutional integrity of the FBI. But I know FBI field agents. I've worked with them in Newark. No matter how truly bad you are, you can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency and undermine the agency's capacity. I believe you're failing as a leader, and that your failure does have serious implications for the safety and security of Americans and our families. We're more vulnerable to domestic and foreign attack because of your failures of leadership. I don't think you're fit to hand the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long.
I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes,
at this
sir.
point?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If
You're
you
gonna
want to
lecture
talk
me
about
dividing this country,
it is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh, you
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not
Senator,
take
it is
my
responsibility
time.
for
You
what you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time
tell-
is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my
you
time's
have-
over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth, talking over each other, doesn't work. And I said if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
go-
one point of
Go
order.
ahead, Mr.
I've
Patel.
watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
He has been rude and disrespectful to senator after senator.
And when the senators were not giving him a chance to answer, I didn't stop the senator either. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the FBI, under my 7-month leadership, were failing this administration in this country, why do we have 23,000 violent felons arrested this year alone? A double increase from that time last year. Why is it that we have seized 6,000 weapons? Why have we found 1,500 child predators and arrested them? Why have we 300 human traffickers in jail? Why have we found and identified 4,700 children? Why have we seized 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl, enough to kill a third of the American public, a 25% increase alone from last year? 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 7,000 kilograms of meth seized, and that's just on our criminal operations in summer heat. How is it possible that we are taking 8 kilograms off the streets of the cities in New Jersey and preventing the deaths of 607,000 people this year alone, a failure of the FBI and my leadership? How is it that we have counterintelligence arrests already this year exceeding the numbers from the entirety of last year? 33% increase in PRC, 83% in Russia, 60% in the CI space as it relates to Iran, and we haven't even talked about CT, the southern border of the North.
You know, when I watch exchanges like that between Senator Cory Booker and FBI Director Patel, I don't just see a political argument. I see a reflection of a nation at a breaking point, a government wrestling with its own conscience. This wasn't just a hearing. This was a trial of trust, a public test of whether our institutions still belong to the people, or whether they've been quietly taken over by politics, ego, and fear. Booker came in swinging with facts, fire, and frustration. And honestly, you could feel the weight in his words, because this wasn't about party loyalty. It was about the soul of the FBI, an institution that's supposed to stand above politics, not kneel before it. And when Booker said, "You can't lecture me about my time. The people of New Jersey tell me when my time is over," that wasn't just defiance. That was democracy speaking. That was a man reminding Washington that elected officials don't answer to bureaucrats, they answer to voters. Now, whether you like Booker or not, you can't ignore what he laid out. Under Patel's leadership, the FBI, according to critics, has shifted resources away from terrorism and cybercrime towards enforcing immigration policies that belong to ICE, not the Bureau. 20% of FBI agents diverted, task forces disbanded, experience purged. You don't have to be a partisan to realize that something is deeply wrong with that picture. Let's be clear. The FBI is not just another agency. It's the spine of American law enforcement, It's the institution that goes after the most dangerous criminals, from domestic terrorists to foreign spies. And when Booker accused Patel of gutting its institutional knowledge, of pushing out seasoned veterans and replacing them with politically loyal rookies, that hit at the heart of every American who believes in competence over ideology. But then Patel fired back. He came armed with numbers: 23,000 violent felons arrested, 6,000 weapons seized, 1,500 child predators caught. On paper, that sounds like success. But numbers without context are like headlines without stories. The question isn't what you did, it's how you did it, and what you sacrificed in the process. Because if protecting children comes at the cost of politicizing justice, then we haven't protected anything. We've only moved the line of corruption closer to the Constitution, and that's where the deeper story lies. This isn't just about Booker versus Patel. It's about whether America still believes in the rule of law or the rule of loyalty. When an FBI director starts answering questions about Stephen Miller's influence or about firing career agents for supposed lack of loyalty, you know something has gone terribly off course. Because loyalty in law enforcement should never be to a politician. It should always be to the law. Booker's final line hit like a gavel strike. You can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency. That's the point. It's not about whether Patel caught criminals. It's about whether he compromised the very institution that defines what justice means. And honestly, Patel's defense, that crime numbers are up and arrests are higher, might convince a statistician, but it doesn't convince a citizen. Because at the end of the day, Americans aren't just counting arrests. They're counting trust. Trust in their law enforcement. Trust in their democracy. Trust that the person investigating crime isn't taking orders from a campaign strategist. You could see Booker's passion boiling over when he said, "The people of New Jersey tell me when my time is over." That line, raw, emotional, unfiltered, captures what millions of Americans feel right now. They're tired of bureaucrats acting like kings. They're tired of unelected power pretending to be unaccountable. They're tired of seeing justice weaponized for politics, whether it's against the left or the right. Let's be honest. Patel might not be entirely wrong. Maybe the FBI is making measurable progress in crime prevention. Maybe he is working around political interference. But perception matters. Optics matter. And when your agency looks like it's being run by political loyalists instead of professionals, you've already lost the battle for public faith. In just 8 months, the narrative has shifted from restoring integrity to fighting accusations of political purges. That's not leadership, that's damage control. And when Booker looked him dead in the eye and said, "You're not long for this job," you could almost feel the tension of truth in that moment. Because whether Patel realizes it or not, the political winds in Washington are brutal. They don't care about numbers. They care about perception. And when both the left and right start questioning your credibility, your days are numbered. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. When politics infects the justice system, the people lose faith. And when the people lose faith, democracy bleeds. Booker wasn't just speaking to Patel. He was speaking to America, to remind us that institutions survive not by power, but by principle. You can fire people, shift priorities, and throw around arrest numbers, but you can't quantify integrity. You either have it or you don't. And if Patel's leadership has done anything, it's forced us all to ask one question. Who does the FBI work for? The Constitution or the administration? Because once that answer becomes blurred, no amount of law enforcement wins can fix what's been broken. So tonight I leave you with this. The FBI was built on one sacred promise: fidelity, bravery, integrity. If even one of those words is compromised, the whole system collapses. Booker called it out. Patel defended it. Now it's up to the American people to decide who they believe. And trust me, when truth becomes political, nobody wins.